Hello everybody, welcome to Azure Basics Training Series. In this video, we are going to talk about Azure VNets. So, in the first video of the series, we covered resource groups, how they act as a logical grouping for your resources in Azure. Now we are going to explore each of the resources in Azure in detail, starting with Azure VNets. So, what are Azure Virtual Networks, or commonly known as VNets? So, Azure VNets are logically isolated networks on Azure. If you compare it with our on-premises environment, suppose we have different applications that have to be deployed in different networks, we will create logically isolated networks for them, right? So similarly in Azure, if you have to segregate different applications or different say applications or different business units, so whatever kind of isolations you want to create for applications from a network level, you can create them using Azure Virtual Networks. Inside Azure Virtual Networks, there are multiple additional segmentations called as subnets. So whatever resources are within Azure Virtual Networks, they can communicate with each other, irrespective of the subnets that they are deployed to. That is the default configuration. Of course, we can control that communications, which we will discuss. Um, then we have support for static IP addresses. Um, that means if any of your applications has a dependency on a static IP address which is mapped to a DNS entry, then you can go ahead and assign a static IP address for your resources in Azure Virtual Networks. There are default and custom routing. So as I said, all the resources within the VNets within the subnet in a VNet can communicate with each other. However, if you want to change that a little bit and tweak the communications, and say for example there is a network virtual appliance to which you want to redirect all the communications, in that case you can create a custom routing so that the next hop from a particular subnet is changed. Then there are custom DNS configurations possible. If at all there is a DNS required in your network, say an Active Directory server to which you want all your machines to communicate. By default, Azure provides a default DNS server for your networks. If there is a DNS server that you want to use that is deployed in your VNet, then you can definitely update the DNS configuration and point it to your custom DNS server. VNets can also be configured for internal and external load balancing requirements. For example, the applications deployed in your virtual networks, you want to place a load balancer in front of that front of those servers, you can deploy external load balancer. Similarly, for say mid-tier and database tiers, you want load balancing to happen from internal IP addresses, you can do that using internal load balancing. We will be covering load balancers in detail in a future session. Moving on, you can connect one virtual network to another virtual network, which is known as VNet peering. By default, one VNet cannot talk to another VNet. So that is one of the basic principles of Azure networking unless you connect them together. So how do you connect them together? There are different ways. One of those ways is Azure VNet peering. And additionally, if you want to connect your Azure virtual networks to your on-premises environments, say you have on-premises data center and you want to deploy a virtual network that is connected to your on-premises network. So that is what we call as hybrid connectivity, which is a common architecture these days. When organizations adopt Azure Cloud, there will inevitably be a phase where your on-premises resources and your Azure resources coexist. So we will definitely need a hybrid connectivity. So for that, you can go for a site-to-site hybrid connectivity, which connects your network, connect your on-premises network to Azure network. Alternatively, you can go for a point-to-site VPN. So point-to-site VPN is something that can be used if you want to, if your mobile users want to connect to Azure virtual network. Say for example, people are traveling, but they want to, but you want to make sure that those people are able to connect securely to your resources in Azure. So you can enable point-to-site VPN. This is similar to our Office VPNs where we securely connect from our machines to our Office network. Similarly, using a VPN connectivity, you connect from your laptop to the virtual network in Azure. Okay. Last, we have Express Route. Express Route is a dedicated connectivity which is enabled through third-party service providers, where your data center has a dedicated connection to Azure data center networks. Unlike point-to-site and site-to-site VPN connectivity where the traffic flows through internet, in Express Route, this communication happens through a dedicated network. It doesn't transfers over internet, and hence it is most secure, and it is assured by SLAs. So that is a brief introduction about Azure Virtual Networks and its different features. Now let's see how you can deploy an Azure Virtual Network. I have logged into the Azure portal. From Azure portal, there are different ways to create the virtual network. When you log in, you might see virtual networks listed here. You can click on that and select create. Alternatively, if it's not listed here, you can search for virtual networks. Click on add and deploy it. Another way is to go to the dashboard, search for resource groups. If there is a specific resource group where you want to deploy the virtual network, search for the virtual network. So this is search for the resource group. So this is the resource group I want to use. Click on add. Virtual network. Click on create. Provide the subscription name or resource group, VNet name, location. So here we have to provide the IP address range. So this is a network address space which is denoted in CIDR, say /24/16. The recommendation here is to look at your IP address requirements, how many IP address range, how many IP addresses you would need in a virtual network, and provide the address space accordingly. So here by default they have provided a /16 address space, which is good enough. So if you are planning to deploy a lot of resources in your virtual network, you might need to choose a CADR which will provide you a large number of IP addresses. Okay. And then default subnet is already present here, which is a /24 subnet. We will leave it as it is with the default settings. If you want, we can create more subnets after creating the virtual network. I'll show you how to do that. So this is the default address space and the default subnet range. Here in the next screen, you can enable DDoS protection. By default it will be basic. If you want advanced protection, you can enable standard. Firewall also, if you want, you can enable it. For now I will go ahead with the default settings. Click on tags. In tags, this is a key value pair that you can use for again logical segregation and also for billing purpose. We will be covering tagging in detail in another session. So for now I'm not going to add any tag. Go to review and create. So you can see the validation passed. Click on create. So the deployment is underway. So the virtual network is being created. Okay, it is done. So this is a virtual network. So you can see all the properties over here. If you click on address space, this is address space that you provided. If you want, you can add additional IP address range, and if you want additional addresses, you can always add new address ranges over here. Connected devices, as of now none of the devices are connected, or we don't have any resources deployed to this virtual network yet, so you don't see anything over here. But once we deploy a virtual machine, you will see it listed over here. We will be covering that in the next video. In subnets, You can see the default subnet which is being listed here. If I want, I can add a new subnet by providing the IP address range. So I can give a name to my subnet. For example, I'm creating a web subnet where I want to deploy my web VMs. Okay, address range. You can see that it is filled in. If I want, I can change this also. It will also show you how many IP addresses are available. So Azure reserves 5 IP addresses for the internal routing and other purposes. So we will be getting only this many IP addresses, which is fine. And the other settings, I am leaving it as it is. So we can select if you want to use a NAT gateway, NSD, route table. So all these are different features in Azure which we will be covering in detail in later videos. Now, as of now, we are focusing on the subnet creation. So I am creating a subnet with this IP address range. Okay, that's it. I see that there are two subnets over here. So this is how you can create a virtual network from the Azure portal. I hope this has been useful for everybody. So thanks all for watching. Please do like and subscribe to our channel and press on the bell icon. Thank you.